Hey people, Flint here. Yes, I was binge watching Seth. I'm supporting him on Patreon. This is called sharing a sense of humor. And now I finally decided to let that flow into my videos. Do you suffer from cerebral atrophy? Do you like brain damage, but lack a brain? Are you a fan of numbers floating down? If you answered yes to any or all of these questions, here's something that will turn you from an average downtown Londoner to a pseudo-intellectual boomer with Asperger's syndrome. This, for me, is the common case of software engineering, where I lack the fundamental understanding of why this works. But after trying it out a couple of times, finding out that it does indeed do the whip and not the nay-nay, I can see myself covering this once and never use this again. It is time to pull out the glasses and the pipe, so that I may try and succumb to lung cancer before I have to finish this video. Wait for me, Daddy Patches. Soon we may be bald together. A and D in this formula are rather simple to assign. The A is the attack rating, and the D is inside your mouth. I mean, naturally, it stands for defense, not your defense, the defense of the enemy. The stat in your character sheet is not the attack rating, but it's the pre-calculated base attack value plus scaling. Yes, there are some things going on in the background. Don't listen to the voices. It is time to take your happy pills. There's not only hidden depth to the scaling system, but also scaling saturation, which increases scale damage based on how well you stuff that stat requirement of the weapon in question, or something like that. Honestly, if you want to have a more coherent guide to this, watch Frowny Gaming's long explanation about this rather than my rough overview. Link in the description below. This, however, is an inclusive channel with accessible content. We do calculus on an elementary level, so American university students can understand what I'm talking about while they continue to wail in massive debt, financed by a capitalist system. I am, too, a friend of the scientific arts. All this is unnecessary anyway, since we get all this pre-calculated in our character screen. The real Elden Ring damage calculus starts here. Motion values. This is something that anyone who hasn't been working in the gaming industry is now equally as informed about the topic at hand, as a common chimpanzee is able to comprehend the Fibonacci sequence-inspired drawings of the golden ratio by Leonardo da Vinci in Luca Pacioli's book De Divina Proporzione, first published in 1509. Newton's first law of motion declares that a body, once accelerated, remains in constant motion until it is acted upon by a force. In gaming, we have hitboxes to tell the trolley to slow down once it hit your cousin Stanley. However, merely placing a hitbox would bring the trolley to a complete stop. We don't do that. Instead, we'll have to assign the hitbox to the health points of Stanley. Tell the trolley it's doing damage once it comes into contact with Stanley's hitbox, and... oh. Well, that's... weird. Let's assign a ridiculously low damage number to the trolley that multiplies by a certain value depending on how fast it goes so it works more realistically. And how do we call this multiplier? A motion value. This applies to every game you know. And part of the reason why Miyazaki said his difficulty spike was accidental is because the boffins at FromSoft decided to assign a motion value to every attack ever. Yes. Now that that's out of the way, let's do some algebra. Have you considered becoming an old man who likes to have little children scratch his hairy legs and scrum higher. Are you suffering from grandfather issues and have a crippling affliction of the Hogwarts? In either case, you want to learn about the scaling statistic for staves and seals, and it works in strange and mysterious ways. Most seals and staves scale with either faith or intelligence. However, some scale with both. Very select few even take into account arcane, and when it comes to seals, you even got strength and dexterity that come into question. And guess what? That's not even the secret sauce. Unlike the mystery ingredient of the white sauce at your local kebab shop, some seals and staves improve the strength of your casts depending on which school it comes from. And did I mention that it stacks when you have a copy of that same staff or seal in your other hand? Essentially what this should tell you is that not every buff scales in Elden Ring. Meaning if you have managed to cram all this knowledge into your cranium and, contrary to expectation, have not suffered a stroke or a seizure, congratulations. You now know why buff builds work in Elden Ring and why they don't as much in other Souls games. Now, I may have a look in the future about other games, as I cannot lobotomize myself for the sake of Elden Ring content. Believe me, I tried. I may set up a Patreon in the future, so I have more drive to actually finish these videos. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.